All right, welcome to our presentation on student debt. My name is Nathan Paskett, and I'm here with Amberly Barnes and Cassie Cook. And today we want to talk about some of the issues with student debt in America and the history of it and how we got to where we are now and some ways we can utilize to fix our issues. So right now, about 70% of students in America will leave college with some form of a student debt, whether it be student loans or in debt in some way, whether it be with car or school itself. 60% of those with student debt will pay it off in their 40s. Some people will pay it off sooner and some will pay later. We'll talk about that later on as we discuss what is able to and how we are able to pay it off as quick as possible according to our needs. Right now, as it stands, the national student debt is roughly around $29,000 to $30,000. And so with that, we see money can be an issue for living in America. In Utah itself, we are the lowest in the nation. Part of that reason is because a lot of students like to save up and they will save for school and they will have little debt when they come here. By the time we graduate with our undergrad schooling, we are on average, we're sitting at $18,818. That will range depending on the major or minor you're going into and whether or not you go into graduate or doctorate school. And we see that tuition rates are continuing to rise, but with that, we will see in a few more slides how exactly it is rising in a specific area. For Utah State University, the average salary for graduating students will earn about $43,000 a year for the average, and that is higher than national. So we are, being in Utah, higher than the nation, which is kind of cool. As far as federal loans go, 33% of students at Utah State University will have federal loans. And about $141 a month is the average loan payment that we would need to be paying after we graduate in order to pay it off. We see here that in 1940, less than 5% of the population that were 25 years of age and older had some form of a college degree. And in 1960, that doubled to 8%. And that's not really a lot. And so in 1944, we got the GI Bill, or known as the Servicemen's Readjustment Act. And that allowed a lot of veterans to go into college and earn a degree that way. And parents would have a little more with their degree, but it's still every now and then not as much.
Today, the tuition rates continue to rise. This graph shows the tuition and fee rates here at USU. The data on the website only went back 13 years, but in that time, you can see a huge jump in the tuition rates here. 13 years ago, the tuition per semester was $1,836 per semester, and now we're up to $3,587 for this current semester. On average, the USU tuition and fee rates rise about $200 a year. This past year, they rose just $155, and it's expected to keep going up. But why? Why does it keep going up? First of all, there are more students seeking a higher education today than there has been in previous generations. And so there's a lot of building and different things to accommodate all of these students. We need more buildings, we need more teachers, and we need more technology. Also, today's schools across America are competing and trying to get students to come to their school. They want to have the newest and the coolest stuff to show on their campus tours to show that they're the best school. That was one of the big driving forces behind the Aggie Recreation Center. It was a huge point that when people come and look at it, it shows how awesome we are as Aggies. And all of these things, they cost a lot of money. The ARC in and of itself cost about $30 million. And we're currently going to be paying that off as students. So we've established that going to college costs a lot of money. But why do we have to go into debt? Can't we just work it off and pay it as we go? While working will reduce the debt, it will not avoid it completely because it is extremely unlikely that you as a college student will ever make enough to pay for college and plus all the other expenses that you have in life. As you can see in this chart, if you were to work full-time at minimum wage, since as college students we don't exactly make a lot because we don't have a lot of experience, you'll make about $15,000 annually. But with the tuition and fees at USU, which we know are low in the nation, but it'll still be about $7,000 annually. And that will leave you with a grand total of about $600 a month. And I don't know about you, but that barely covers my rent, let alone food and any other expenses that we might have. So this is one of the reasons why we just keep going deeper and deeper into debt as students, because we just cannot make enough.
Way to pay down debt after graduation is to have a major that generally leads to higher paying careers and to avoid majors that don't. The top majors that lead to high salaries in Utah are STEM majors, which include science, technology, engineering, and math. Other majors such as finance, law, pharmacy, dentistry, medical, and business tend to pay off as well. Majors that have led to the lowest salaries in Utah are culinary arts, religious studies, FCHD, education, theater, special education, and social work. It's important to remember to avoid picking a major solely for financial reasons. Make sure to meet in the middle when it comes to finding something you actually enjoy that will also support you in the future. Even if you've graduated with a major that tends to lead to high-paying jobs, it won't matter if you can't get the job. One problem many young adults face today is unemployment after graduation. Some occupations that will have a high growth through the year 2022 are accounting, audiology, child and social work, social networking, event planning, and green construction. It's also important to remember that not all of these jobs have high salaries, but they are definitely in high demand. Lastly, here are some tips to try and avoid when it comes to paying back loans. Some great things to do are pay as much per month on your loans as you can afford. Only paying the minimum means that it will take longer to pay off your debt and you will end up paying more interest over time. You can also refinance your debt in order to decrease the interest. If you happen to win the lottery, inheritance, or some other large sum of money, pay off your debt first instead of buying new fancy things. Some jobs also offer student debt forgiveness, such as government jobs and education. Also, look for jobs that offer promotions and raises. Some things to avoid doing are dropping out of school after getting student loan. Statistics show that it becomes much harder to pay off debt when that happens. Also, remember you cannot declare bankruptcy while also having student debt. And don't use student loans for extra things that don't relate to school costs. Try to avoid borrowing more than 50% of your expected first-year salary to stay safe. And keep lenders up to date when you move to avoid missing a payment. Lastly, pay the most expensive loans first or the loans with the highest interest and pay them off early if possible.
So as we see, student debt is a pretty big problem, and there are many ways to get into student debt or to stay out of it. Some things that we've talked about, the GI Bill allows veterans not to have student debt. And back then, taking out a student loan was not as necessary as it is now. Today's day and age, it's almost impossible to go through all of your undergrad without taking some form of a student loan. And so it's very important to learn how to budget and find scholarships or Pell Grants and all these other options that there are out there to work with your student loan.